What was the cassette age, man? You guys get the shores of Tripoli, motherfucker! Do the shores of Tripoli. 150 years ago, and you guys, you people take slaves, you still have slaves. And you guys kicked out the nanny. You still have slaves over there. I'm gonna show you. Fuck him, he talking about shit. Go ahead, you guys kicked out the Native Americans. You guys don't fuck like slaves. You guys don't slaves. Hey, yo, guys. Hey. United we stand! Divided we fall!
You can't always tell everything that's going on right up front, because if you tell everything that's going on right up front, then your enemy is going to know exactly what you're doing.
I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
So yeah, we have a bigger issue than just Democrats. We have an issue of the American indoctrinated people that just let things like this go. It's been happening for years and years and years, and frankly, I'm sick of it. And so I'm just telling you, they're telling you, and they've been telling you this stuff in front of your face for a really long time.
Our own government working against us. I mean, we've always had the government working against us. We just didn't know it. Here we are. Problem is with this whole entire thing, the Democrats and this Epstein file thing, the Epstein file thing is so diluted. It's been through so many hands. I don't see how anyone could possibly know what's true and what's not, except for watching the reaction of the people that are resigning. Like Stacey Plaskett is going around and doing her PR tour because she was absolutely texting with Epstein at the time. So those are all real issues at the moment that they're going through. But you know, it's kind of hard. I don't want to go through the Epstein files knowing that it's so corrupt at the moment and been through so many hands. I don't really see the point of talking about it much. I don't know what you think, but that's kind of what I think. But I do think that the real thing that's going on right now is the Clinton emails. So we're going to talk about that as well. But before we get there, I wanted to say hello to some people here. We've got Kim. She's here, and she said this: don't get me started on Hillary Newman Aberdeen and the Tom Hanks connection. Yeah, exactly. And yes, it's true. But of course, this all came out during Trump's first term. Now people are finally seeing the disgusting truth. That's why it kind of feels like we're reiterating the same exact thing. You guys can hear me now, can't you? You should be able to hear me now because I can see the mic's working. Let's see who else is in here. We got Richard Reeves. True freedom comes not from physical liberation, but from spiritual freedom through knowing the truth, hard as it may be. Yeah, I know. I was just telling my assistant, right, as we were watching, as you guys were watching this stuff, you can't hardly find a video anymore without people cussing. You literally can't hardly find one. Okay, so I know that Lahona Broadcasting, we're on that too, that channel. And so there's videos that come across and sometimes people are cussing. So you know what? Here's what I'm going to say about that. You guys need to stop being little cotton balls. That's what you need to do, because the reality is you hear those words every single day. And I'm not saying it's right, but I am saying I'm one person. I can't go and continually edit all these things out and beep everything. So you're just going to have to take your virgin ears and deal with it. Because I just don't have time to do all that stuff. And yeah, exactly. Richard's like, snowflakes for sure. Not surprised 25. You know what's so funny about your name there? So I was thinking about this Stacey Plaskett thing as I was watching the videos, and I thought, who in their right mind is actually surprised about this? Nobody's surprised about this. Carrie, nice to see you over there on Rumble. And we've got Ralph in the room also. Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you. So yesterday, it was a crazy day. Don't let these things happen in your neighborhood if you can all help it. But you're not the person who can control everybody. But so yesterday I couldn't do my show at all because, you guys know I live out in the country. Okay. I'm off grid, all that kind of thing. And thank God for real that we have acreage between all of our properties, because down, and they decided that they were going to, I live way back in the sticks. They decided that they were going to take guns after each other. So the one shot 2 times in the air and the other one was running around with the rifle. And I don't know, it was just a whole chaotic bunch of stuff. And so then I had to take care of my own personal stuff. I wanted to make sure that nothing property, all their little disputes were out there in their own area. Hey, Kevin, nice to see you. So I wanted to make sure all that stayed over there. So that means you got to protect your property. So all that stuff was over with. So I go to town. I do what I need to do. I'm just about ready to get back here to do the broadcast. And the sheriff's department calls. Now, you guys already know I'm not a fan. So I'm like, what in the heck do you want? Well, they wanted the medication for the person that they had arrested. They said, can you go and get the medication and bring it over here? And I thought to myself, no. I mean, I don't mind getting the medication, but I'm not bringing it over to the jail. Are you insane? Okay. That's walking into the lion's den for sure. So I thought, oh man, no way. I don't want to do it. I don't want to put anybody else in that position to do it. And finally, I just was like this. Okay. I told the person that was going to take it over there. I said, what I'm thinking is if you go there, if anybody volunteers to go there, okay, they need to not give their ID to the cops. Okay. Just go there, put it down, whatever. Because they specifically said whoever brings the medication here is going to have to give their ID. And I thought, why? And I even asked, why? Why would somebody have to give their ID to give something to you that someone else needs? So I thought, this is stupid. And I thought, I don't even know if these other people that I'm thinking to go give the medication, I don't want them to comply with that. Sounds like entrapment. It's a perjury trap. Hey, yeah, you listen, see, it's a perjury trap. Don't consent. Yikes. Does sound like entrapment. Yeah, you have to give up your Fourth Amendment to be a good Samaritan. I know. That's why I'm like, that's not going to happen. Okay. And so I advised the person that was going to take it there, not to give their ID. And then he says to me, well, my driver's license has been expired for a very long time. And I thought, oh, great. This is not good, because you know how these guys are. They will, for a minor traffic violation, which is not even a crime, they will drag you out of your car, slam you on the ground, and beat you up, and then try to make up all kinds of things. And I thought, I really don't want to put anybody else in this position. So I decided that I was just going to go myself. So I had somebody drive me so that I'm not connected to any kind of vehicle in the parking lot. So I had somebody drive me, and I walked over to the jail so that they couldn't see where I came from or anything like that, with only my phone and the medication. But I had left my passport and my card. I said, okay, if anything happens to me, you need to take this card and go get some cash to bail me out. Because I was like, I'm not going to do it. So I walk over to the, I walk in there. I just have this medication. I ring the little bell. You know how they are. Got to hide behind bulletproof glass. And so then I hear something on the side of me, and I look over, and it's this super dark window. I mean, like black as night window. And this guy appears, you know, those mirrors that are like in haunted houses where the face appears only. Okay. That's what it was like. Okay. So apparently the sheriff's department is so afraid of everyone in the whole entire world that they're behind bulletproof glass. And when I say bulletproof glass, it's like super thick, ridiculous. I don't know even if a machine gun could get through that. And blackened it out. Like, excuse me, you work for us. Why are you hiding yourself? Okay. So I looked at this 12-year-old kid, because that's what he looked like. And I said, I'm here to give this medication. And they said, oh, you mean this person? And I said, yeah. And he starts to reach for a piece of paper and says, you need to fill this out before I can accept it. And I said, I'm not filling out anything. I looked at him like, are you seriously insane right now? You want me to fill out a form to give you the medication with the person's number on it right there? I'm literally handing you the pills. What do you think's in there? I mean, it's not like you can't see it. So I was like, I mean, these thoughts flashed through my head in like less than a second. I'm thinking, you're insane, mister. So I put the bottle there, and you can't stick it underneath their little thing because they're really afraid of that too. Oh, God forbid. So they have this tiny little place where you're supposed to slide something in there so the bottle won't go in because the top. And I thought, I am not standing here for all this crap. So I said, no, I'm not filling out that form. He said, well, then I can't take it. I said, well, you're going to take it. And I left it right there, and I left. Because I thought, well, one, I know you're not going to leave some prescription drugs for a heavy-duty prescription, apparently, on this counter. There's no way. You're going to leave that right there in the hallway with the cameras rolling. And by the way, I did have my camera on. You're going to leave it right there? I don't think you are. So I walked out. So I walked over to the car where I was going. And when I got closer, I said, are they following me? Because I thought, I'm not looking back. No, I'm out of there. And so I left. That is how you handle that stuff. No, super no. But see, I knew that anybody else would be like, why do I have to fill out this paper and get into some big old conversation with them? And I thought, I don't need a conversation with you. Here's what's going to happen. I'm leaving it here. You asked me to do it. I'm out of here. So that's what happened. And that's why I was late. And I was like, you know what? I can't even do this show with all that crap that's going on over there and all kinds of stuff. It was totally ridiculous. So yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, that's why I didn't do my show. So many reasons not to help them out. I know they make it completely impossible for you to just have an interaction that would be on the Andy Griffith show. Okay. If you don't know who Andy Griffith is, go look. All right. It's totally ridiculous. And I think the world is getting more and more crazy every time you turn around. You know, was that the neighbors that I met? No, you didn't meet them. No, if I passed the one guy on the street, I wouldn't even know who he is. Okay. But I will say this. So we had the fire on Thursday. There was a big old fire. And the guy that was crazy on his four-wheeler running around with the shotgun and all that stuff, on that night, after the fire people left, he's running back and forth in the field where the fire was, like he's some kind of fire marshal, didn't lift a finger during the time that the fire was actually there. But all of a sudden afterward, he's the fire marshal. Okay. So he's running around in the field, not even on his property, doing all that stuff. And then, so my son goes around the corner to go over to his own house, and he hears the lady, the crazy guy's lady, the crazy guy's wife, screaming, yelling from the porch. Oh, you guys are afraid of a little fire, are you? Really? They're the same people who didn't even come out of their house on the first fire that was down. So I'm pretty sure that if something happens to these people, here's the thing. If you help people like that, they're going to turn around and sue you. They will for something. So it's better to just, if you want to call 911 or something like that, you do that and let them deal with whatever it is, so that you're not involved in anything that has to do with them. And I'd hate to be like that, but I'm just telling you from experience, if you try to do a good deed for somebody like that, they're going to just turn around and sue you. So sorry, dude, you're on your own. Not going to happen. Now, someone else who's on their own and should be on their own, but the Democrats seem to be really rallying around her, is the Stacey Plaskett. She was caught texting during the hearing with Michael Cohen. If you remember, Michael Cohen was Trump's attorney who went to prison for lying to Congress. Yeah, Michael Cohen is a little traitor to Trump, that's for sure. Conversations just so he could spill it somewhere else. Yeah, are you kidding me? Anyway, so Stacey Plaskett during that particular hearing was texting with Jeffrey Epstein. And when I say Jeffrey Epstein, I'm talking about the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, because if it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, Plaskett would have said so. And we're going to talk about that in just a second, because someone stupid was standing up and saying something about it. And it's like, you're not even talking about the same two Epsteins, you moron. So here's what Stacey Plaskett said to CNN.
That Jeffrey Epstein had information, and I was going to get information to get at the truth. Having a friendship with him is not something that I would deem to have. And so I'm just looking forward. I'm moving forward. And I think that that's what we as American people should do, is move forward. If individuals are not involved in illegal activity, extending his criminal enterprise or his financial enterprise or all of those things, I think that we need to look at what people are doing moving forward.
Wait, let me just better understand that. What is that point? Because at the time he was a known sex offender and it had been detailed, all the sexual abuse.
There are a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes. And as a prosecutor, you get information from people where you can.
Now, isn't it interesting how all high and mighty and dignified she happens to be when they're talking about her connection to Jeffrey Epstein? And yeah, exactly. Double talking fool. Exactly. they're sitting there and, oh, well, we have the reasons because we wanted to get information. Okay, that is not the reason. And then they sit there and they say something about Donald Trump having a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which he really didn't do. He really didn't have a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. He had a very short, I wouldn't even say, it's not really a relationship. It's more like an acquaintance with Jeffrey Epstein. And when he found out, because his employees came to him and said, hey, Mr. Trump, I got to tell you something about Epstein. Told him what was going on. And he kicked him out of all of his clubs and all of every single thing. Epstein's not allowed here, period. And that he wasn't even convicted then. Okay. So then the attorneys come to Donald Trump as one of the people to testify against Epstein. And Trump's the only one who did. Trump is the only one who came and said, I am willing to help you no matter what. Every other person on that witness list refused to give information about Jeffrey Epstein. Are the Democrats saying that? No, of course not. That's rich for someone who should have prosecuted him from her territory. Oh, yeah. You're talking about Epstein. Yeah, for sure. Doesn't matter to the radical left. I know they always try to spin it into their favor. It's like, no, we have the text messages. We know what you were saying. And he was instructing you on what to ask Michael Cohen. And Epstein said, Plaskett didn't even know some of the questions. She had no idea. She said, oh, my turn's coming up. Can you give me some help here? I mean, you're going to ask for help from a convicted sex offender, because Jeffrey Epstein was already convicted by then. So yeah, Plaskett is on her damage tour, trying to go on all these shows and pretending as if she's all high and mighty. That's why she looks different now. If you noticed, she looks completely different than what she was looking like at any of these other trials and hearings and all that stuff. She looks completely different because they said, we got to brighten you up. We got to make you look media friendly. So they changed her hair, changed her makeup, changed her clothing, because she was looking like she was like the dregs of the earth, kind of like Rashida Tlaib. Yeah. And threw her in front of the camera and said, you need to go on this PR tour. Virginia Islands traitor to all the children. Yeah, for sure. Her vote doesn't count in anything. Yeah, and they tried to censor her yesterday, and that didn't happen. And did you also know that to release the Epstein files, it was like 427-1 or something like that? There was one Democrat who said, no, don't do that. I mean, when you're on that side, you got to wonder what's going on here. You really do. And then someone else resigned. I don't know who resigned. So let's see. Congressman resigns after Epstein file release. Let's see if we can find out who that is. Clay Higgins. Oh, no, Clay Higgins was the only one. Clay Higgins? What the heck? Why would you vote against releasing the Epstein files? Now, that's weird. He's not the one who resigned, I'm pretty sure. Republican who voted no on releasing Epstein files. Here is the U.S. Congressman resigns as cop after fizzling as reality to release something about the Epstein files, but I don't think that is Higgins. I mean, if Higgins is the one who resigned, that makes me wonder about him. He was from Louisiana. The one vote. Yeah, well, that would be Clay Higgins. But what I'm saying is did he resign? Somebody resigned before the vote was even taken, as far as I knew. But I haven't been able to confirm that at all. But Clay Higgins has always been like out there in the front doing exactly what the Republicans want. And now he doesn't want them released. Seems weird to me. Seems very, very weird. So he'll be on a tour soon. You know how that goes. right? Yeah, I didn't think he resigned. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, so I want to show you this other video because this is very interesting because I don't think that the Epstein files release is nearly as big as this right here.
Correspondent Catherine Herridge back in Washington, and a blockbuster letter spelling out more potential problems for Hillary Clinton. Good evening, Catherine.
Brett, as the FBI investigation expands, confirmation tonight from a senior government watchdog that Mrs. Clinton's email problems are much worse than previously reported. According to this letter, first obtained by Fox News, Hillary Clinton's emails on her unsecured personal server contained intelligence from the U.S. government's most secretive and highly classified operations, called Special Access Programs, or SAPs.
These are the crown jewels of the American intelligence community of the United States government.
The intelligence community's Inspector General, Charles McCullough III, notified congressional oversight committees on January 14th. The letter says a comprehensive review by the intelligence agencies, who have final say on classification matters, found, quote, several dozen emails containing classified information at the confidential, secret, and top secret /SAP levels. That is even more sensitive than top secret and brings new scrutiny to the presidential candidate's handling of government secrets.
If this information is compromised, we're going to suffer very serious national security damage. There's no mistake. You don't accidentally stumble across it and not realize what it is.
Access to these programs is highly restricted and on a need-to-know basis only. The State Department spokesman had not seen the letter, but added,
there are reviews and investigations going on about past email practices here at the department, and I am simply not at liberty to discuss the content.
The new findings are striking, given Clinton's first public statement about her personal server.
There is no classified material, so I'm certainly well aware of the classification requirements.
According to court documents, former CIA Director David Petraeus was prosecuted for sharing special access program intelligence with his biographer Paula Broadwell. Both Petraeus and then Secretary of State Clinton were required to sign non-disclosure agreements promising to protect special access programs with the understanding that a failure to do so has significant legal consequences.
This is a real test for the administration as to whether they're going to apply the law in a fair and equal way and treat Hillary Clinton the same way that David Petraeus was treated.
A new email first obtained by the Daily Caller shows the State Department knew about the personal account as early as August 2011, and suggestions to use a government BlackBerry and a .gov account were rejected by Mrs. Clinton's aide, Huma Abedin. Brett.
Catherine, thank you.
Yeah, Catherine, thanks. Kevin has something to say here. He says, Clay was worried about the unintended consequences of the victims. Yeah, I know, but, you know, like I said, it's been so diluted over and over and over again. I don't see how any of it can be that credible. So it's kind of like this. All right. So here we have some files that are super tainted, I'm sure, by now. And they've gone through the Biden administration. I mean, please. If there was anything about Donald Trump or anybody in there that of significance, they would have come out and said that already. And they haven't done that. So obviously it's probably just been tainted and destroyed most of the stuff. But here's what's interesting about this whole thing. So I've taught lots of classes. I've been in all kinds of things, you know, even when you're sitting in the audience and you're a participant, you'll say something and you can always tell the guilty party. You can always tell them because they're the first one to open their pie hole and start saying something stupid. Okay. It's like if you would have just shut your mouth and not even made a comment, then no one would know that you're the one who's the guilty person. But they always do it because they can't sit there feeling that guilt and keep their mouth shut because they're like, all eyes are on me when no eyes are on them at all. No one even knows. But they always expose themselves anyway because the guilt is too much for them to bear. Larry Stones is the other that resigned. Oh, okay. Larry Summers is the Democrat that resigned yesterday. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. The Clintons didn't show up for congressional hearing. Peter Navarro went to prison for that. I know. So did Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon didn't show up either. He's like, why? This is clown school. Why should I do that? And they put him in prison for a very short period of time, but he's still there. You know, and did you notice that no Democrats ever went to prison for that? None. And remember when they were doing I think it was Benghazi, during Benghazi, all of that stuff, Susan Rice, all those people, they're like, I'm not showing up for that hearing. No, I'm not showing up. Which one of the senators were actually sending out criminal referrals for that? Anybody? Nobody. Not one criminal referral on that. Not one. But yet, if a Republican just show up, first thing they do, criminal charges. You need to go to prison. Yeah. So it's not a two-way street. It's only a one-way street. That's why it's like, are they going to apply the same standards to Hillary Clinton as they should? James Comey should have done it long ago. When you remember, he came out and he said, these are all the things that she did wrong. This is all the stuff that she committed. This is all the classified information that we found. And it was this. But we're not going to do anything because no reasonable prosecutor would do that. Why? Because they might end up on that list, you know, the Clinton body count list, that one. I've had the honor of meeting Clay, and he's a great guy. Ex-cop and Marine. Yeah, I like the things that he says. I mean, I will say this, though. I don't have any problem being the lone person voting against something. When 407, what is it, 428? What was it? 478? I don't know. 400 something. Vote one way. If I actually thought that I needed to vote a different way, I still would, you know. But it just seemed kind of weird because by now everybody should know who the victims are. I mean, the only ones we wouldn't know about are the ones that were born and don't have a certificate of birth. That's a whole thing. That is a whole nother story. That is a whole thing going down a different road. But here's why I think this Hillary Clinton thing is kind of interesting. Because first of all, remember, she had two servers, not just one. I don't know why they keep saying that she had one. She had two servers, two private servers that were with the same company in Colorado. But for some reason, they're only focusing on the one, and I don't understand it. Yeah, they did. They said with their pictures. So she had two private servers. And if she's a secured party, of course she would want to do private servers because then she owns all the information. Here's what is interesting about this, though. I don't know why she would think that she could get away with treason by that. You're driving. Okay. I see. Kevin's driving right now. So that being said, here she is. She's a secured party. Now, secured parties claim all the stuff that emits from them. All right. So it means anything that's electronic, any sound coming out of their mouth, any kind of fingerprints, all that stuff. Right? Remember the big garbage or garage fire at Hillary's? Yes. Yes, I do. Didn't she bleach bit her server? Yeah, but see, that doesn't take care, that only takes care of her side. It doesn't take care of the other side. Okay. Once it goes from one server to the other server, it doesn't make any difference. She can bleach hers all she wants to, and it's not going to make any difference because the other side is still there. But the point is she would own it because in the private security agreement, it literally says that you own all the biomaterial, okay, any electronic material, any graphic images of yourself, your signature, just on and on and on. Okay, so I can see why she would go through a private server for that because she wants to own all the data. Okay, the problem is the Constitution. Okay, the Constitution. She's not covered for treason, okay? But that's still a complicated matter because it's not just cut and dried. She committed treason, so there you go. Okay, the things that she would have had to do is somehow trying to undermine the United States, which is exactly what she was doing. I'm not saying that she's not committing treason. I'm saying if they're going to do this treason charge against her or anything like that, if they were going to do that, they'd have to put it together properly. So as far as I'm concerned, she was intentionally trying to undermine the United States of America. Okay. And that could be considered espionage for another country, because we already know that she's beholden to other countries anyway. I mean, look at the Benghazi issue. Look at China. Look at Ukraine. Look at Russia. We already know she's beholden to all those people. Nothing to hide here. Hillary bleached the server, and they smashed her Blackberries with a hammer. I know. Nothing to hide. Nothing to hide. Yeah, nothing more obvious than that. Uranium One. Yeah, Uranium One. All these things that Hillary did, she's already beholden to other countries anyway. So I would think that espionage could possibly stick to her. You know, that's one thing. So that's Title 18, USC, subsection 793, subsection 794. Transmission of national defense information. Waldo Rivera comes to mind. Willful retention, gross negligence, delivering information to a foreign power, which he did because remember, China hacked her. She had it like a pipeline to China. Delivering information to a foreign, life in prison, and even death in extreme cases. You know, I think incarceration for the rest of your life is probably better. Sedition is another form of treason. That's 18 USC subsection 2384 and 2385. Conspiring to overthrow or destroy the government. Isn't that exactly what's going on with Obama right now? Obama and all those people. So here you got Hillary, you got the Clintons involved in that too. You've got Obama, Clapper, Brennan, Milley, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, all these people. Gina Haspel. You know what? Have you ever looked at Gina Haspel? Let's take a little look at Gina Haspel. Gina Haspel. Yeah, there you are. Gina. Okay, I want to show you this woman because I want you to take a look at her, and then I want you to tell me what you would think about someone that you saw that looked like this. Okay? Yeah, let's look at her images. Let's look. See, there she is. She's your local librarian, isn't she? She just looks like a nice little, nerdy librarian girl. That's what she looks like.
Catherine Herridge back in Washington.
I don't want to talk to you anymore. Sorry, Brett. Get out. Okay, to me, she is the ultimate chameleon because she is a ruthless killer. Okay? I don't know if you know her background. You think man to female? I don't know. But she's definitely ruthless, and she's a ruthless killer. This is the kind of person that is super scary because you don't think that kind of a person is going to be coming and doing anything wrong to you because she looks like a little librarian, right? Okay. So here we have this whole group of Democrats and this entire conspiracy to overthrow the government and basically take over, which they did with Biden. Now, I think that the Trump administration allowed it to happen on purpose because like I've said a million times, you can't catch people in a crime if you don't let them commit the crime first. So I do think conspiring to overthrow or destroy the government, Hillary Clinton's involved, Obama's involved, and all those other people. Subversive activities are acts that are designed to weaken national security or destabilize government operations. by allowing people to be in her emails from foreign nations, that's exactly what she was doing. Corruption, fraud, abuse of office. If they intentionally decided that they were going to harm the national security or manipulate foreign policy, yes, this would be treason. Undermining the U.S. can be criminal, even if it doesn't meet the strict constitutional definition of treason, but it is definitely criminal. But see, they can't touch her for that. They have to deal with the treason issue. That's all she's got if she's a secured party, which I'm pretty sure she is. And as you and I both know, they have tried to keep wars going. They must see, because most won't even believe their own lying eyes. I know. None of it's going to make difference until some perp walks. I agree. It's like, you know what? Until I see criminal referrals and somebody going to jail, somebody big. I'm not saying all their little underlings, okay? I don't care about them. I care, but I don't. I want to see the perpetrators of the actual crimes going to prison, okay? I don't think Obama should be out there walking around just acting as if, you know, it's another day on his $40 million property and however many acres he's got, where he's swimming in the ocean and whatever else he's doing. Or Michelle going out there and whining how it was really confining to be the first lady, the first black first lady. Really confining? Are you seriously kidding me right now? She's milking that whining all the way to the bank. All right. I have no sympathy for her whatsoever. I understand being a person who is trapped in a castle. I can see that. But she was not at all. The Obamas made a lot of money and still keep a lot of money coming in because of Obamacare and everything else that they've done. Okay. Did you see the monstrosity in Chicago? That's the Obama Library. Yeah. Let me show you this ridiculous thing. It is so ugly. It's pathetic. It's like, who even thought, what person would think that this is the kind of structure that you should be putting up anywhere? I don't even understand it. And besides that, like I've said before, Obama doesn't even need a library. He can't read, obviously, because if he could, then he'd understand the Constitution. So, and he doesn't do that. Look at this thing. Any architect who thinks that they're going to be proud of this thing is stupid. Just ridiculous. Okay? That is a guy you definitely don't want to hire. This is completely ugly. Kind of like their presidential portraits. Remember those? Yeah. Those were ugly too. A theory is President Trump is not releasing the Epstein list, maybe using it to keep the deep state. Well, see, my thought was the first thing that the reason that he didn't, I mean, it would just be obvious, release the list is because it's a good tool to motivate people to do certain things. So yeah, I can see that. But no. Gumby land, I know. Hired all minorities to bilk him out of money. Yeah, probably true. The federal pen in Philadelphia looks better than that place. I know. There's been some crazy structures over the years that were odd, but they didn't look like that. Okay, everything Obama touches turns to. Yeah, I believe it. It's just, I feel like I live in bizarro world most of the time. I really do. But this thing with Hillary Clinton, so if she is a secured party, it makes sense that she would have the private servers. It makes sense that she would want to filter the emails through those servers so she could claim the data on her end. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that Democrats in any way are brainiacs, because they're literally not. I don't know what she was thinking about the other side, though. Did she think that the other side, the person who is also on the other side of that email, was able to control that data as well, I don't know what she's thinking. Because anything, okay, my dad taught me a long time ago, anything that comes out of your mouth or typed, whatever, is going to come back to haunt you at some time. So whatever you say or do, even if it's in private, if you're talking to somebody in private, it's probably going to get out there some way, somehow. So it's not going to be private for very long. So whatever you say, you better mean it. Okay. He taught me that when I was like, it seems like I was like 12 or 13. I remember I was sitting in the car. My dad was driving. I was in the back seat and we were going somewhere. And I think it was only him and me in the car. I don't know if we were coming back from somewhere or whatever, but I remember him saying that. And I thought, well, that's very interesting. So thank God my dad is a wise person, could tell me some stuff that I remembered all through my whole entire life. Because, I know a lot of people don't have good dads like that, but I did. So let's take another look at this right here. Also, because I want to also go back to the thing that we were talking at the very beginning with this Christians and the Muslims surrounding the Christians in Dearborn, Michigan. This is a really big issue here. Okay. This is Dearborn, Michigan today. Look at this thing that they're doing. Look at this thing that they're doing with this. Everybody doing the same thing. Christians are being subjected to that in Dearborn, Michigan. Look at this. You're not even gonna believe where this is. I'll show you this one. Oh, here it is. That was in Texas. That was literally in Texas. Now, here's another thing from Texas. Okay, so this is the map of where all the mosques are in Texas. Are you seriously kidding me? Yeah, this is Texas. Texas, where it's supposed to be the home of the brave and the land of the free. Where Texas is supposed to be upholding the Constitution. Are you seriously kidding me? So now they've taken over New York. Texas may fight back against this at some point. I don't know. It seems to be being facilitated by Governor Abbott. Abbott has actually signed money over to the Muslim people. And they took that, it's called Epic, whatever it was, that place where they were building all that stuff. Okay. And they turned it into the Meadow so that it didn't sound so Muslim-like. But see, here's the other thing that's going on there in Texas. Yeah, it's in Texas. Yeah. I think it was North Dallas. I think it's like all over Dallas and Fort Worth area, actually. Because I remember traveling through there and seeing a mosque and going, are you seriously kidding me right now? I remember going through St. Louis, Missouri, Epic City. That's right. Going through St. Louis and seeing a mosque there and going, are you seriously kidding me? Who in their right mind think that's okay? Okay, so then I thought to myself, well, why aren't we totally destroyed yet? All right, so I went to look and see how many Christians we actually have in the United States of America so far. All right. And right now we're sitting at about 68% of the people would say that they're Christian. Now, whether they really are or whether they really aren't, I don't know. But at least at this point, 68% or 60, yeah, I think it's 68% say that they're Christian. Okay, back in 1970s, I was going to go back further than that, but in the 1970s, all right, 95% of the people in the United States of America identified themselves as Christian. Exactly. One more reason I'm glad I left Texas. I'm like, I don't even want to visit there. Okay. I don't even want to visit there. I don't want to go to Texas for many reasons. Okay. The Muslim issue is getting worse there, but also the tyrannical nature of the cops, because cops now are just like the harassment squad. That's all they are anymore. They're the money-making harassment squad. If they can sit there and stop your vehicle for any reason whatsoever and bash you to the ground, that's what they're going to do. I believe it. I agree with this 100%. Texas has now become a total disgrace. Total disgrace. I used to think that, hey, if all gets bad, you can at least go to Texas and rely on them because they understand the Constitution. They're not going to violate the Constitution. The people in Texas are just way too patriotic. They all understand this, My son calls cops revenuers. Yeah, for sure. That's what I used to think of Texas. But now it's getting to the point where you can't even go anywhere. Like, as soon as I leave my property, I feel like I am going into enemy territory, for sure. You guys are funny. So, I mean, literally, that's why I said at the beginning of the show, I didn't really want to send someone out in to deal with the tyrannical cop show and not be able to push back. That's why I gave somebody else my card and said, okay, if I'm arrested, here's my card. Go get the bail money. Okay. And I always make sure I have bail money. Okay. Because I totally think that's what's going to happen. Anytime you have an encounter with the cops, you're going to have at least have $200 on hand. At least $200. And the reason I'm saying that is because if your bond is $2,000, they're going to do 10% of that. The bondsman's going to do 10% of that, and you're going to have to give them $200. If your bond is $10,000, you're going to have to give $1,000. If your bond is $100,000, you're going to have to give $10,000. It's ridiculous. Okay. And I know people who have had to pay that because of the ridiculous nature of the cops. And frankly, I'm sick of it. And I just sent it. If you guys didn't subscribe to my email, you need to go and subscribe to my email list. It's on my website at aprilofjune.com. Let me put this up here also. Don't ask me to put you on the list. Go to my website and put yourself on the list. You can go to the front page of aprilofjune.com, go all the way down to the bottom, put yourself on the list. The reason I'm saying that is because this weekend we're going to be having a class about the cops and liquidation on your court case. And, that's how you get rid of it. 100,000. Yeah. And never had a run in with the cops ever. Yeah, exactly. Can I put you on the list? I keep 5,000 on me at all times. Well, it's getting to the point where it feels like that because you don't know what kind of ridiculous is going to happen. See, what he was saying is he had to put up $100,000, never had a run in with cops ever, never even knows nothing about jail at all, has nothing to do with any kind of crime, which you would consider a crime at all. Okay. And all of a sudden, now he's got to put up $100,000 because he's some dangerous criminal. Okay. Are you seriously kidding me? This is how they're treating people, but they're just revenue seekers. That's all they are, is revenue seekers, revenue seekers, revenue seekers. Yeah. it's coming to the point where this world is so crazy, I can't even understand it. But as I was saying that about the Muslims, do you think that the Muslims would be able to take over if the Christians would have stood together like those Muslims were doing in Dearborn? Do you think so? Do you think that they'd be able to do that? I don't think so. But see, what we've done is we have become extremely lax in action when it comes to Christianity. Because, oh my gosh, someone might think I'm a Christian. I don't know if I want them to know that or not. Really? Why not? I mean, I got people who've unsubscribed to my show because, oh, she's talking about Christianity again. How dare her? I don't care. I'm not going to deal with that. Okay. If you want to say something else, go on your own show and say whatever you want. But every single one of these things that's happening right now is related to a biblical prophecy anyway. Okay. I was just talking to a guy this morning, and they're talking about Nasara, Jasara, and all this other kind of thing, and everything that's going on and whatever. And saying they think that it's all going to collapse. And, you know, they're thinking ahead of time and all this kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, because it's biblical. I mean, it's biblical. If you deny Christ, he will deny you. Yeah, exactly. Then I was watching this encounter, okay, with a Christian preacher and this Muslim guy. And they were saying that they couldn't understand how God was so bloodthirsty by sending his son to die for everyone. It's like, okay, so obviously you don't get it. But one thing, I would have turned around and just said, oh, because Allah won't die for you. Is that it? Allah doesn't love you enough to die for you. Is that the thing? Because that right there, there was a whole crowd of people around. That right there would have said, Allah and God are not the same. It's not the same. They can call God whatever they want. They can say that that's God, but it is not God. Christians can say, well, and excuse it away and say, well, that's what they say. That's what they call God. No, because God, the Christian God, the actual God, the creator of all, okay, sent his son to die for people so that they didn't have to pay for their own sins. Allah didn't do anything of the sort because Allah is not even a thing. It's like having the Buddha deal, okay? Buddha is a little statue about this tall. That's a whole nother story for a different day, but it was quite funny. $1.49. I'll tell you that story sometime, but it doesn't have any relevance. Okay. You can't do anything. That's the whole point. So if Christians got together and Christians stood for what they were supposed to stand for, and were actually running for office and doing the things that they were supposed to do, which is protecting the Constitution, protecting the God-given rights of people, because that is your Christian duty to do so. Okay. We wouldn't be here today with Muslims surrounding Christians and taking over entire cities with ridiculous chanting to an idol. I mean, what else do you call it? So that's the whole point. So guys, here's what I'm going to tell you today. If nothing crazy happens tomorrow, I will be back on my show.
Searching for truth in ashes.